What if a single act of kindness could change your life forever? In this heartwarming romantic story, a simple gesture of goodwill not only wins the heart of a beloved, but also unlocks an unexpected fortune. Watch to see how a chance encounter with a beggar leads to a surprising revelation and a happily ever after. Let's dive into the tale. I used to think that being charming and good-looking was all I needed to get by. Boy, was I wrong. Life taught me fast that money matters too. My name's Huey Erskine, and this is how I learned that lesson, and got a happy ending I never expected. I wasn't clever. I never said anything smart or mean in my life. But I had crisp brown hair, a sharp profile, and gray eyes that made people like me. Guys and girls alike. My dad left me his old cavalry sword and a huge book about a war, which I kept on a shelf next to some magazines. I lived on 200 pounds a year from my sweet old aunt. I tried jobs, 6 months at the stock exchange, selling tea, even dry sherry, but I flopped at everything. I was just a guy with a nice face and no career. Then I fell in love with Laura Merton. She was amazing, and I'd have kissed the ground she walked on. Her dad, a grumpy retired colonel, who'd lost his temper and his stomach in India, liked me okay, but he wouldn't let us get engaged. "Come back when you've got 10,000 pounds of your own," he'd growl. I'd slump away, feeling glum, and Laura would cheer me up with her smile. One morning, I decided to visit my friend Alan Trevor to take my mind off things. Alan lived near Laura in Holland Park, and he was a painter, a real artist with a freckled face and a wild red beard. When I walked into his studio, he was putting the final touches on a big painting of a beggar. The model stood in the corner, an old man with a wrinkled face, like crumpled paper, and sad, droopy eyes. He wore a torn brown cloak and leaned on a stick, holding out a battered hat for coins. "What an incredible model!" I whispered, shaking Alan's hand. "Incredible!" Alan shouted back. "You bet! Beggars like him don't come around often. He's perfect." I stared at the old man. "He looks so sad," I said. "But I guess that's what you painters want, right?" "Yep," Alan grinned. "A happy beggar wouldn't work." "How much does he get paid?" I asked, plopping onto a comfy couch. "A shilling an hour," Alan said. "And how much will you get for the painting?" 2,000 guineas, he bragged. I laughed. "The model should get a share. He's working hard too." "Nonsense," Alan said. "Painting's tougher than it looks. Now hush, I'm busy. Smoke a cigarette and stay quiet." Later, a servant popped in and said the framemaker needed Alan. "Don't leave, Huey," Alan called as he stepped out. The beggar sat down on a bench, looking worn out. My heart sank. I dug into my pockets and found a sovereign, just 1 gold coin, and some pennies. He needs this more than I do, I thought, even though it meant no cabs for 2 weeks. I walked over and slipped the coin into his shaky hand. He jumped a little, then gave me a tiny smile. "Thank you, sir," he whispered. When Alan came back, I waved goodbye and headed out, blushing a bit at what I'd done. I spent the day with Laura, who scolded me sweetly for giving away money we didn't have. I had to walk home that night, my pockets empty. That evening, I wandered into the Palette Club around 11. Alan was there, sipping a drink. "Did you finish the painting?" I asked, lighting a cigarette. "Finished and framed," he said. "Oh, and that old model? He's crazy about you. I had to tell him everything. Who you are, where you live, what you earn, even your dreams." "What?" I cried. "Now he'll show up at my door. Poor guy. I wish I could help him more. Maybe give him some old clothes." "He looks great in his rags," Alan said, "but I'll tell him." "You painters have no heart," I said, frowning. "An artist's heart is in his head," Alan shot back. "We paint the world as we see it, not fix it. Anyway, how's Laura? The old man wanted to know about her, too." "You told him about Laura?" I asked, jaw-dropping. "An artist's heart is in his head," Alan shot back. "Sure did." "He knows about the tough colonel, your love for her, and the 10,000 pounds you need." I turned red. "Why'd you spill my secrets to a beggar?" Alan smirked. "That beggar is Baron Hausberg, one of the richest guys in Europe. He could buy London tomorrow. He's my buddy and asked me to paint him as a beggar for kicks." "Baron Hausberg?" I sank into a chair. "And I gave him a sovereign." Alan roared with laughter. "You gave him a sovereign? That's gold. You'll never see it again. You should have warned me," I grumbled. "He must think I'm a total fool." "Nah," Alan said. "He was thrilled after you left, chuckling and rubbing his hands. I get it now. He'll probably turn your coin into a funny story." "I'm such a loser," I muttered. "I'm going home to hide." "Don't be silly," Alan said. "It shows how kind you are. Stay, talk about Laura." But I couldn't. I trudged home, feeling dumb, while Alan kept laughing. The next morning, as I ate breakfast, my servant handed me a card. "Monsieur Gustave Nodin, from Baron Hausberg." I gulped, thinking the Baron wanted an apology. "Show him in," I said. An old man with gold glasses and gray hair walked in. "Monsieur Erskine?" he asked with a slight French accent. I nodded. "I'm here from Baron Hausberg," he said, handing me an envelope. On it was written, "A wedding present to Hugh Erskine and Laura Merton, from an old beggar." Inside, a check for 10,000 pounds. I stared, speechless. My little act of kindness had paid off, big time. With that money, I could marry Laura. At our wedding, Alan was my best man, and the Baron gave a speech that made everyone smile. Later, Alan grinned and said, "Millionaire models are rare, but model millionaires? Even rarer."